Overthinked Doom 3 is a terrible name for a mod, but thankfully the name doesn't dictate the quality of the game. But what is Overthinked Doom 3 and what does it try to do? Well, Overthinked Doom 3 tries to do the complete opposite that Perfected Doom 3 did. Perfected Doom 3 tried to take Doom 3's combat and add to it, making enemies stronger, giving you new enemy types, and giving you insane alt fires for every weapon in the game. Overthinked Doom 3 does the complete opposite, attempting to take the horror survival atmosphere of Doom 3 and add to it. It does this mostly for the better, but sometimes for the worse. Let's start with the weapons. Every weapon in this game has been changed. Every sound effect is different, sounds punchier, and has a lot more bass. In general, the guns just feel so much more satisfying than the original Doom 3. They don't feel so weak, and they just feel very good to use. But the weapons don't just sound stronger, they are stronger. And they all have split functions. Not quite as insane as what Perfected Doom 3 did, but they do exist. For example, the pistol usually is just a semi-automatic pistol. But the split function will turn on a laser and turn the gun into a 3-round burst pistol, making it actually somewhat effective later on in the game, instead of just being this useless pistol you have to carry and you occasionally use on zombies every once in a while, but it just sits in your backpack otherwise. The main standout weapon of this mod is definitely the shotgun. The animations have been entirely reworked, and the sound effect is just amazing. But again, like I mentioned, that's not it. It has been changed. It has more range and just feels a lot more effective than core Doom 3, which is really saying something as the shotgun was the go-to weapon of choice in the original Doom 3. The shotgun also has a few different split functions. One of them is an attached flashlight, and this is just the regular shotgun with an attached flashlight. The next split function is a laser instead of a flashlight, and it shoots slightly faster. But if you turn off both the laser and the flashlight, well, the shotgun becomes fully automatic. Oh, also you have the double barrel shotgun from Resurrection of Evil as well. Now this may sound overpowered, but it actually is not, as there are checks in game to make sure the player isn't too strong. For starters, the shotgun reloads slowly, and I mean very slowly. Every time you press the reload button, he puts in only one shotgun shell, so you have to keep pressing that reload button to fully top up your shotgun. The super shotgun also takes its shells from the same ammo reserve as the regular shotgun, making you try to figure out which one you would rather use. In the end of the day, I actually found the super shotgun to be a really good special killer, taking out those stronger enemies, and using the regular shotgun for everything else. But this leads into my next point. You can't carry much ammo in this mod, and this is really what checks the player. You can't just shotgun everything because you quickly run out of shotgun shells. The max you can carry is 40, and the game isn't so plentiful with ammo like the original Doom 3 was. In concept, this is a good idea. This means you can't just run around blasting enemies with a fully automatic shotgun with no consequences. You will run out of ammo very quickly if you try this, and it's not a viable tactic. You have to think twice about what you need to use those shotgun shells on. So you may just mag dump 8 shotgun shells into an enemy, but now you've wasted 8 shotgun shells out of your 40 ammo reserve if you're maxed out, and that's not going to last very long. This remains true for every gun in the game. You don't get a ton of ammo like you did in the original Doom 3. You get enough to fight, but you don't have a plethora of ammo you can just burn through without any consequences. And you really have to think about what weapon you're using before you use it. To add to this, other smaller changes have been made to this game. For example, most of the guns in this game that had a 60-round mag capacity have been lowered to a 30-round mag capacity, like in the plasma gun and the machine gun. The only exception to this is the chain gun. It saw its magazine raised from 60 to 99, but the gun as a whole is less accurate and balances that out. It's still quite effective, and it feels fine, doesn't feel overpowered or too weak. Another small change that you might have noticed immediately is that there is no crosshair, which means you get no hit markers, you don't know when you're hitting the enemy, and you don't really know where the gun is aiming. To counter for this, they have added ADS into this game. A lot of you may be groaning, but it actually works quite well in this scenario. From the hip, the guns aren't quite as accurate as to when you're ADSing. It's not as bad as Call of Duty to where if you're not ADSing you won't hit anything, but it does help, so it is recommended you do it if the situation allows. You don't have to do it all the time, and again, it's definitely situational. The last change to the weapons is one I personally absolutely despise. This game decided that if you reload, you're throwing away that entire magazine. So if you shoot one bullet and have 29 rounds left in that magazine, you just thrown 29 bullets away. This is fucking bullshit, and I hate it when every single game does this. Doesn't matter what it is, there is no reason to do this. If you plan on adding something like this into your game, at least do it like Red Orchestra 2, where if you reload a half-empty magazine, you put it into a backpack, and you're eventually going to put that half-empty magazine back into your gun. but you don't just throw it away. That's not realistic, it's just fucking annoying. It's even worse in this game, because Doom 3 wasn't made with this mechanic in mind, so you have half a machine gun mag, but you can't reload it or you waste ammo, so you're going to get ambushed by 4 or 5 enemies with half a magazine. You can see how this causes problems and ruins the flow of the game. It's a huge pet peeve of mine, and I understand what they were going for, but I really don't think it works in this scenario. I'm also not a huge fan of having to be very cautious with my ammo reserve, but at the same time, it works very well with this mod, and I understand what they were going for, so I cannot criticize this mod for that. The ammo isn't too scarce or too plentiful, and it would break the game if it changed in any other way. The enemies all seem to do more damage to the player. Some enemies may appear weak, but if you get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, that enemy is still going to kill you. The modder also used a lot of graphical mods as a base, so it does look better than vanilla Doom 3, but I also had mods installed on top of it, so I can't really tell you how it looks default without the mods I've installed. What I was trying was the Overthinked Graphical Overhaul mod that someone posted on the ModDB page, which added on top of Overthinked Doom 3. I wouldn't really recommend it, as it just made my framerate tank, although it did look better than vanilla Doom 3, so take that as you will. But do note that's not a core part of Overthinked Doom 3, and the original mod may run a lot better. The final big change to Doom 3 this mod made was to the final boss. I think we can all agree that in vanilla Doom 3 the final boss was simply too easy and sort of a letdown. Overthinked Doom 3 acknowledged this, but went a little bit too far, constantly spamming pinkies, mancubus, imps, and other enemies at you at the same time. This led to a frustrating experience of trying to run away from enemies constantly just to catch a random rocket to be launched off to my death. I agree with their concept of spawning stronger enemies instead of just one imp at a time, but don't spawn them all at me at once in a game that's supposed to be slower and more tense. That just makes it frustrating and bullshit.
They made this boss way too difficult.
But in the end of the day, my only two real complaints about this mod is simply what they did with reloading and some changes to the final boss. That's ultimately pretty good. What this mod turns into is a much slower, more tense version of Doom 3. Slower isn't bad, and it's nice to see a mod attempt this instead of trying to make the mod as fast as possible like every game does nowadays. There's a way to do slower paced right, and this mod for the most part nailed that. It leads to very satisfying gunplay, and it never got old blasting an imp in the face with a shotgun. Overall, if you like tactical shooters, this mod will probably appeal to you. Even though it isn't a tactical shooter, the gunplay actually feels somewhat similar. I do have complaints, but I would definitely recommend this mod. That was Overthinked Doom 3, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content on my channel, consider checking out my Patreon and pledging monthly, and that will majorly help me. I don't really know what the future of my career is going to be, with YouTube's money not being what it used to be, so anything you could give would be a huge help to me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.